Welcome back to another episode of Lady in the Stamp. And today we're going to be doing felted soap, which is a really fun project. And you'll see a couple of samples we have here. You can do it a couple of different ways, where you wrap the wool felting around the soap, or where you kind of do this, you shred the felting and you get this really neat marbled look. So to get started, you need bars of soap. You can use any kind of soap that you want. These just happen to be a couple of bars of dial soap. You can use ivory, you can use scented soap, whatever you like. And then you need wool roving. And this is just some wool that I have from some friends who do wool work. They either make rugs or needle felting. So it comes like this. Or I've got these rounds of wool roving from my local hobby store. Either got these probably from Michael's or Joann's. Or you can also get these little kits from Amazon, and they have these little, the kits come with packages of the wool roving that you can take out and pull apart like that, so that you can use them to work on your project. So to get started, we need to select the colors. So I've had Maya and Shane pick some colors, and these are some previous projects that Maya and I worked on. And so you can see that you can create some great color combinations. So I'm going to slide these out of the way for now and put these away. And then Maya had picked some colors to start with. So we're going to, for our first roll, for our first bar of soap, we're going to do this one way, where we wrap the roving around the bar of soap. So what you want to do is take your roving and you're going to pull it apart, so you kind of thin it out like that. And you never want to cut the roving, you just want to tear it. So you can tear off little pieces like just by pulling it apart like that. So we'll just start like pull this and get it kind of thinned out. Starting at one end right here, we'll then wrap some of that around the soap. So we'll take this, and we're just going to take a piece of it and just tear it apart, tear it off like that. And we'll take the soap and we'll wrap it around just to get started. We'll wrap it around like that. Okay, and now we're going to take another color. We'll take some of the blue, or I guess this, or maybe light blue or light aqua. I'm not quite sure what color this is. Shane says cyan. That sounds like a cool color. So we'll tear another piece of that off. And now we're going to wrap in the opposite direction. I'll just take that and wrap it around. And then it kind of secures the first color in place. So we've got that. Now we're going to take some white, and we'll use that. We'll thin it out like this. And we're going to use this, and we'll wrap it around the edge because we want to cover all the corners of the soap. We'll just wrap that like that, and we'll cover the corners. So we'll get it nice and tucked in there. And now we'll use this dark purple for the other end. We'll just take maybe a piece like that, and we'll put that right around this here and to cover those other corners. Okay. So now we're going to set that one aside, and we're going to work on our second bar of soap. So this one is, going to give you something like this, where you see the layers of color on it. Then, now we're going to work on where we get this kind of marbled effect. So Shane picked these colors, these three colors here. So what we to get that effect, you basically tear apart the roving, and you're going to tear it into little pieces. And you just keep tearing and tearing and tearing, just pulling. It's kind of fun just to keep pulling it apart. So you're going to end up with this pile of wool. Pile of fluff, exactly. Okay, so then we're going to take, now we're going to take some of the turquoise, and we'll do the same thing. We're just going to keep tearing and tearing and tearing, 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 tearing. Now we're going to take, it's kind of a purplish gray. We're going to do the same thing. Now we're just going to mix all these together, and we're just going to keep pulling them apart like that, mixing. So you can see we got some really cool colors going here with that turquoise blending in. So now you have this pile of fluffy wool, and we're going to take our piece of soap and we're going to put it in the center, and then we're just going to wrap this around. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's the same thing. You want to make sure that all the edges are covered. So we just tuck that around there and tuck that over there like that. But you do want to try to make it as even as possible. It doesn't have to be perfectly even, but you do want to have it fairly even. Okay, so now we've got all the wool. Now the secret to doing this one is taking like an old nylon. And we have one of those right here, and you can use these over and over again. So what you do is you have the wool all tucked around the soap like this, and then you put it down inside to the very bottom of the nylon, all the way down to the bottom, and you leave it in there like that, and then very close to the top you twist like that so it's nice and secure, and then so we got an extra little piece of wool, we can save that for later. Then you wrap the stocking back over itself like this, twist it again, and wrap it one more time. Now the other thing you could do is just tie a knot at the very end of that and not do this 3 wrapping thing that I'm doing, but whichever, if you work with this a couple times, you'll decide which way works best for you, and then we'll wrap it again. Okay, and we're ready to go. So the next thing we have over here is a bowl of warm water, and then we have a bowl of cool water. Thank you, Shane. So to start, we're going to do this one. Now, you could also put this one inside of a nylon stocking if you want. I'm just showing you both ways to do it. So you gradually start adding warm water on top of the soap. Now, so we all know if you've accidentally washed a wool sweater, that warm water will make these fibers start shrinking. And as they shrink, they'll start pulling closer and closer on themselves. So that's what the process of this felting is. And the reason that this is kind of a cool project is we're all washing our hands a lot more frequently now, and the wool in and of itself has an antimicrobial agent to it, but in addition, I like it because when it sits in your soap dish, it doesn't get all that gunky soap scum on the bottom of your soap dish. So now that we have this nice and wet, we're going to start kind of moving this around like this. We're just going to keep packing and packing, and now that we've got it good and wet, we're just going to completely submerge it in the water. And slowly but surely, we will start just doing the felting process. And you can already feel the wool fibers are already compressing and pulling in on themselves. So we're just going to do this. And this process takes about 15 minutes. But we won't put all of that on the film. We'll take this aside and let you do the rest. We'll come back with you when we're ready to do the next step. But I wanted to show you before we go away for a moment. We do the same process with the nylon stocking version. We just add water, and it takes a little bit more water because you're going through 3 layers of nylons. But the reason I use the nylon stocking for this version is because we have all those little pieces of fiber, and they're very hard to keep together if you're just trying to hold it in your hands like we were doing with the other style of soap. So once we get this really good and wet, we'll do the same thing. We'll immerse it in the water, and we'll just start squeezing. We'll start getting that wool, those wool fibers, nice and wet, and you'll start seeing the soap suds come because it means we've gotten through to the layer of soap. Okay, so we're back now, thanks to the miracles of Shane's excellent editing capabilities. So we're almost done. You can see that the wool has really shrunk down. So what you do, you just continuing to rotate it in your hands and squeeze it and rub it. And there's a little piece right there. And periodically just put it over in a bowl of cool, cold water, and just keep. And when it's gotten to a point where it's not shrinking anymore, you just rinse it in the cold water and set it aside and let it dry. I usually put it on a towel initially to soak up a lot of the water, and then I put it on a rack so it will dry. And for this one, we'll take it out of its stocking. And as you can see, I've used this stocking several times. And one thing I forgot to mention in the first part of our video is you see I have gloves on now. I like to wear gloves because after a while, if all the soap, it can irritate your hands. So it's just always, I think it's always just a good thing to wear some rubber gloves, exactly, so it doesn't dry out your skin too much. And then you have this beautiful marbled piece. And so we're just going to rinse that in a little bit of cold water. And we got a little piece there. If you end up with a couple little pieces that are kind of sticking out, after it's dried, you can just trim that off with a pair of scissors. So we're going to set these aside to dry. And that's our project for today. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll give it a try.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you love the video, you can subscribe and comment what we should do next. Click here for our most recent video. Click here for the video YouTube recommends to you, and click up here to subscribe.